morning, everyone. My name is Okampunyeti, and I'm accompanied by Kuzani, Nelo, Nozizwe, Pako, Sugulake, Rorisang, and Kosi. And we're going to be identifying the ways we'll take into identifying and creating knowledge. Also being cognizant of the knowledge management cycle. So we've decided to go with the Collins Cardiac Institute, which is a highly respected medical center with over 50 years of excellence in cardiac care, has spent decades pioneering complex heart surgeries through its elite teams of surgeons. As the institute faces the eventual retirement of several senior surgeons and the legacy of its founding leadership, however, the institute recognizes that organizing and managing this vast amount of information is a complex task requiring specialized expertise. To address this, Collins Cardiac Institute hires knowledge management experts. These professionals organize the information in a clear and accessible format, making it easier for surgeons to learn and apply. In doing so, they help preserve the Institute's legacy, ensuring that this is a groundbreaking techniques remain accessible to future surgeons and continue benefiting patients for years to come. This collaboration underscores the importance of knowledge management in preserving valuable expertise, especially in critical fields like medicine. So to address this case study, we decided to go for the Nonaka and Takuchi model, which involves the socialization, which is tacit to tacit, the externalization, and internalization and combination. So I'll give the floor to Rorisang to explain the sharing and learning.
I am Rorisang Sekisang, and I'll be taking you through the share and learn cycle stage. The share and learn cycle stage it is a phase that focuses on disseminating knowledge among individuals to foster collaboration and learning. Application of the SESI model on the share and learn cycle stage through socialization, which is tacit to tacit. Socialization, it involves the sharing of knowledge through direct interaction, often in informal settings. This is to allow the individuals to share and interact to internalize tacit knowledge through direct experience and collaboration. Examples of socialization is mentorship programs, organizing interactive workshops, and encouraging informal knowledge sharing. Ways in which socialization can help the share and learn cycle stage in knowledge in Collins Cardiac Institute through mentorship programs. Collins Cardiac Institute can organize mentorship sessions where the experts of the institute can work closely with the young surgeons, guiding them through complex procedures like heart transplant, to observe, ask questions, and learn through practice. Another example, organizing interactive workshops. Collins Cardiac can also arrange workshops where experts of the Collins Cardiac Institute demonstrate techniques, providing a platform for surgeons to gain practical experience and ask detailed questions so that they can be able to perform the surgeries on their own without the help from the experts. So by creating these opportunities, we foster a culture of knowledge sharing and continuous learning. This ensures that the other heart surgeons gain valuable insights from Collins Cardiac Institute, even if they lack experience to certain procedures. As a result, they will able to be better equipped to handle complex surgeries, reducing the.
Good morning. My name is Nozolaba, and I'll be presenting about the knowledge creation stage. Creating knowledge is the process of generating new knowledge in an organization. In an organization, knowledge is created by generating new ideas, insights, and expertise that can help drive innovation and growth. One way in which we can create knowledge in an organization is by using externalization, which is an element of the Seki model. Externalization is the process of converting tacit knowledge, which is personal and experience-based, and it is more difficult to articulate. We convert it through explicit knowledge, which can be easily shared and disseminated. Ways in which we created knowledge at Collins Cardiac Institute. The first one is by recording video tutorials. This is whereby one takes a video of the surgeons as they perform procedures and explaining each step in detail, which can help others learn and understand more about doing it. Written guides. Working with the institute to document methods, decision-making processes, and making manuals or guides. For example, a surgical ventricular restoration could outline steps, challenges, and best practices. We can also create knowledge in an organization by training programs. Training programs. We could also create full training programs. This would have step-by-step lessons, real-life examples, and clear instructions based on what the institute knows best. By externalizing knowledge in Collins Cardiac Institute through record tutorials, writing guides, and training programs would improve the patient care and also advances in the field of cardiology by making groundbreaking techniques accessible to a wider audience. This is the end of my presentation.
Good morning, my name is Kuzani Mahube, and I'll be taking you through task 2 of our group assignment, which is capture or acquire. The capture and acquire stage focuses on collecting the knowledge that has been shared and documented. Acquiring knowledge involves gathering both tacit, personal or experimental, and explicit, documented and formalized knowledge from the Collins Cardiac Institute and other sources. To achieve this, we would then, as the knowledge management experts hired, need to use various instruments or tools to acquire this knowledge or capture this knowledge. Questionnaires is one of the ways we will be using, questionnaires will be one of the instruments we use to capture this knowledge. Questionnaires are designed to collect detailed insights from surgeons involved in mentorships and workshops at the Collins Cardiac Institute. Tools like Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, or Typeform would be used in this questionnaire to collect, or rather capture and acquire the knowledge. Interviews are another form of tools or technology we will be using to acquire this knowledge. One-on-one interviews with Collins Cardiac Institute surgeons to capture deeper insights. One of the tools we use to capture and acquire this knowledge. As you know, interviews are a personal form of sharing and acquiring knowledge. Hence, our doctors will be using one-on-one interviews with surgeons from the institute to capture deeper insights. They would be recorded and transcribed using tools like rev.com. Focus groups are also one of the tools we shall be using to capture this knowledge. Organized discussions and exercises and challenges to gather collective insights. Tools like Zoom and Microsoft Teams could support remote participation.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pagodinga. I'm here in front of you to take you through the examples of knowledge management conversion processes. So, the first one that we have is socialization. This one involves tacit to tacit knowledge. Aspects at Collins Cardiac Institute shared through direct interaction in informal settings. This involves sharing unwritten knowledge directly with each other through direct interaction and face-to-face talking. And then the next example of the knowledge management conversions is externalization. Externalization involves tacit to explicit knowledge. So in externalization, experts transform tacit knowledge into guidelines. The experienced doctors at Collins Institute take special ways they do things in surgery and write them down. This makes things easy for them to keep them in their heads. And then the next one is internalization, which involves explicit to tacit knowledge. At Collins Institute, people learn from written rules and guides and what they say. Slowly, this knowledge becomes part of what they say and what they have been doing. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone in attendance. My name is Nano Payasepotong, and I'll be diving into the organized phase. In the organized phase, I'll be touching on the discussion in relevant to how it entails the knowledge management cycle, how it is relevant to the CQ model, and the technologies that facilitate the organized phase. Ladies and gentlemen, we can all agree that the knowledge management cycle is a roadmap for creating and sharing efficient information. Under the organizing phase, we are more interested in structuring and categorizing knowledge to make it accessible to target groups such as doctors, researchers, and students of the health sector. To make it simple, we can define organized or abbreviated as CMS. The C standing for categorizing information, that is to say, in relevant to our scenario of Collins Cardiac Institution, we can categorize information into cardio techniques such as heart transplant or aortic practicals. We can also make it available to the target groups. As I mentioned earlier, target groups can include doctors, students, or researchers. Also, we can take it into the sorting portfolio, whereby we deal with how we portray that data in such a format that it will be easily accessible. Now I'll be delving into the implementation of the CQ model framework. As we all know, the CQ model framework stands for socialization, externalization, combination, and internalization. Under the organizing phase, we are more interested in the externalization and combination, which is the most pivotal component of the CQ model in the organized phase. To start things off, I'll dwell more on the externalization. As we all know, externalization is turning tacit knowledge into written guidelines. That is to say, we are taking the knowledge that was informal and make it into a more formal manner. A pivotal example would be when, in relevant to, I think, Collins Cardiac Institution, would be when a doctor records patients' recovery into written guidelines. That is what we call externalization. When we come forward to the combination, we are more interested now into structuring that information into a more accessible manner. We can also touch more on the categorization, which I mentioned earlier, that is more focused on classifying knowledge into groups or tagging, which I'll discuss more into the technologies under the meta tagging. To make a more comprehensive example which institutes the externalization and combination, here it is how it will be formatted. First, a medical doctor records down the patient's names. It could be names, it could be sickness, or it could be any procedure. That is, by that way, the doctor turns informal knowledge into a written guideline or formal knowledge. Afterwards, the knowledge that has been written down is now turned into the combination phase, whereby it is now organized into such an accessible manner. After it is organized, it can now be used or internalized by target groups, which is now the internalization phase. Now I'll be touching on into the technologies that facilitate organized phase. We have the meta tagging. For those that are not familiar with meta tagging, it's a form of categorization tool. And in the slide above, the meta tagging is to make the knowledge easily searchable. As I said, it is the use of categorization tools to make the knowledge easily accessible. That is to say, that organized information to be easily accessible by target groups. Under the meta tagging, we can use tags such as surgical complication and procedure types. Still, under the technologies that can be used, we have a centralized database. Under the centralized database, we will create a centralized digital store that organizes knowledge. A centralized digital store, we can refer it as an all-in-one hub, whereby if anyone wants to access information about any relevant cardio information or cardio aspect, he or she can access that centralized database and consume the knowledge. We also have databases such as SQL, which are mostly used by large institutions to store large data of cardio informations. Ladies and gentlemen, let me touch on the importances of organizing. The importance of organizing is that it could help save life, it could help improve efficiency at Collins Cardiac Institution, as doctors will not have to waste time seeking for relevant information. With that being said, I'll pass over or hand the baton to my colleague.
Good morning, I am Khosi Letamo and I'll be talking about the use discover stage. The stage is talking about applying the knowledge and being able to refine the knowledge that you have to discover or refine the knowledge. The use discover phase of the knowledge management cycle focuses on how knowledge is applied and how new insights are generated from existing information. In the Collins Cardiac Institute case, this phase is evident when younger sessions begin applying his techniques and septal myectomy or the maze procedure in their practice and potentially uncovering new ways to refine them. The importance of this step cannot be overstated. It transforms static knowledge into living, evolving resource that continues to benefit patients. By mentoring young surgeons and organizing hands-on workshops, Collins Institute ensured that these methods were not only learned but also practiced, fostering a cycle of discovery where trainees could adapt these techniques and modern challenges such as new surgical tools or patient demographics. The centralized database further supports this by acting as a reference point for continuous learning and innovation. Nonaka and Takeuchi argue that the internalization process where explicit knowledge becomes tacit through use is key to individual mastery. a process Collins Cardiac Institute workshops directly supported. This occurs through learning by doing, whereby training or reflective practices where explicit knowledge are internalized as tacit skills or routines. In the discover phase, internalization drives as the creation of new tacit knowledge through reflection, experimentation, and learning from experience. Technologies in this phase include simulation software, virtual reality, and data analytic tools. For instance, VR platforms like also VR could allow surgeons to practice Dr. Collins' complex procedures in a risk-free environment, enhancing their confidence and skill before operating the real patient. Data analytics tools integrated into the database could track which technologies are most accessed or successful, providing insights into their practical utility and areas for improvement. Collaborative platforms like Microsoft Teams or Slack could also facilitate discussion among surgeons, enabling them to share discoveries or adaptations of the Institute method. Alavi and Lidna highlight that knowledge management systems must support knowledge application to create value, as seen in the hands-on training Dr. Collins provided. Thank you.